What's up, guys? I'm Tyler Hosley, and because of this podcast, I own more than 7 Steven Seagal movies. 7 or 8 or 9. It could be 10. I don't even know. Way too many.
You could have an even dozen of Seagal. I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned Gamera is really neat. Gamera has turtle meat. We've been eating Gamera.
Hi, I'm Craig Pay, film enjoyer, live in England, and I'm convinced at this point the only thing that is longer than American Honey is Tyler edging to American Honey.
But only by like 30 seconds. If he edged the full, even longer,
it gets to the oiling, and then he has to pause for 10-15 minutes just to gather himself. So I'd say 10-15 minutes.
I'm flattered,
and clean
flattered
up
that you think I last that long.
I mean, the cleanup must be
hours. Long. You got to just decontaminate the whole fucking house.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England, and this week I didn't find any thematic connection between Spirit of the Beehive, Bee Movie, The Beekeeper, and then American Honey. And I really thought there was got to be some narrative woven throughout those, but I was wrong. And this is Raiders of the Podcast.
Yay!
I think we should all just have a moment to mourn the passing of a Titan. Specifically because we can also advertise our back catalogue where we covered the entirety of Twin Peaks, basically.
Oh, yeah, we did. I was going to say we didn't watch any Bob Uecker movies, but you were talking about David, the other Titan.
Yes. Which I think, I'm sad, and yet I felt a little tinge of happiness that we did that. We got through all of Twin Peaks for our rewatch again. I finally watched Fire Walk with Me, which I loved. And Stephanie's a big fan of that, isn't she, Craig?
She is. Me too. She made me watch it, and it's my favourite thing Twin Peaks I've seen, and possibly my favourite David Lynch film.
I will reiterate that I don't understand why Twin Peaks fans ever moaned about any of the multiple endings he gave that I thought were all great. I know Dave would rush to disagree with some aspects. I think he gave about 3 or 4 brilliant endings every time he was just thinking, this could be a good note to end on.
Her central performance in Fire Walk With Me is phenomenal.
I mean, no, I love all of Twin Peaks from seasons 1 to Fire Walk With Me, and then there was no more, which is tragic.
Right. I knew it, Dave. I knew it would be you. Knew it would be you pissing in David Lynch's black coffee.
No, I would never do that.
Moments.
I would never do that. What are you talking about?
Movie-wise, this week I didn't get too much watched because I actually watched a fair bit of TV. I'm assuming you're not going to like this, Dave, but I tell you I completed that 10-episode season of The Day of the Jackal, the new version.
You did mention it, yes.
All right. So that's really good, though. And I mention it because someone was asking me about Eddie Redmayne, or having a conversation.
I think I did. I think I asked you.
Oh, well, there was another conversation I was in which I said Eddie Redmayne looks like someone who's just taken a mouthful of brie, and then he shouldn't have taken it, but he's trying to keep it behind his lip until he can turn away and chew and swallow it. Like that's what Eddie Redmayne looks like, a brie thief. That is him. And I've got through 7 seasons of Inside Number 9. A lot of that was rewatch, but there's quite a bit I'd missed in the later seasons, which I highly recommend for those who like anthology TV shows. Really good. Did you guys get that over in America? Is that available?
Yeah, it is.
It's, it is varying, but the fact that each episode's different and I think generally quite inventive and smart is a big plus. So I do highly recommend that, especially if you're fans of Shearsmith and Pemberton. who mainly do
I like
that.
them both, but I extra like Stephen Pemberton, who I think's just one of the best actors to come out of the UK in a little while. Just quietly, just brilliant. I think he could have a really strong dramatic career if he wanted. He's just very, very good. Great character actor.
I know what you mean, because I like them both too, but Shearsmith kind of usually leans into enjoyably overdoing things slightly. I
Yeah.
think, whereas Pemberton can really just like fully nail a characterization.
Very immersive.
Obviously, I belatedly realised that Netflix over here had a film in there called The Water Horse, and flying my Scottish flag and decided to sit down for a family movie that basically features a Nessie in it. So that was good, and it was sweet, and it was family fun. Now this is from 2007, and genuinely the first half is, I think, quite delightful, and the special effects are lovely. I was talking to Vicky. I couldn't tell what was practical, what was CGI. Obviously, there was some that was a mix of the two. I thought it was great, and it is set in wartime, obviously in this area in Scotland where a kid finds a water horse and there can only be one at a time, etc., etc. It becomes more full on Nessie as things play out. The second half takes a slight dip. The third act's a little bit underwhelming, but it was really kind of generally just sweet and enjoyable throughout. So I really liked that. That had David Morrissey in a main role, and it was at the time when they were still trying to push Ben Chaplin as a sort of leading man. If I remember right, he was also the guy in The Truth About Cats and Dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember if they gave him an accent.
Murder by Numbers.
Let him be a lovely Brit. Or was he in Murder by Numbers?
He was.
I don't think I've seen Murder by Numbers.
Well, that's lucky you.
Birthday
Girl, is that it? The thriller with
he's in that.
Yeah.
Oh, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I really recommend The Water Horse. I think it's it is one of those really just lovely little family movies, and it's tucked away somewhere on Netflix. I rewatched The Man in the White Suit, a 1951 Ealing comedy with the great Sir Alec Guinness as someone who's trying to invent an indestructible and unstainable material that would help just, people could buy one suit and never have to wear again, which is not good for those who are in the laundry industry, really. It's very good. I still really like it. I think the third act of that is a lot of fun, with Alec Guinness running about in a bright white suit, trying to get away from those who are pursuing him while he looks like a luminous light bulb going down the street. Yeah, really, really good one. And then last but not least, I did get along to watch A Real Pain, and I'm not sure if that was of interest to any of you, but that's the film with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. It's directed, I think written and directed by Eisenberg. And basically, they play two cousins who go on a trip. They're going through Poland, and the aim is to visit the home of a deceased grandmother, but they are also doing a tour, which is covering parts of Poland that were associated with the World War II and the Holocaust, and part of that is going to a camp as well. And it's a difficult one. Like, I think Culkin's been getting a bit of talk about his performance, and it is good, but it's very much in line with what he can do really well. So I don't know. I don't know if you look at his performance and think he's sort of stretching much, but then again, it is perfect for the film, so I can see that being a good thing. And it is an interesting look at how do people honor and stay connected with their past, and what do they carry about with them in the everyday, and where's the positive in bringing this up and making people confront their own sense of safety and well-being, while they're also looking at like what they came through to get there, or what their families came through to get there. So it was an interesting, good watch. Eisenberg is playing an Eisenberg type. And the more I see and hear of Eisenberg nowadays, and I've heard him do a couple of interviews around this and talk in a way that he's maybe not comfortable, the more I sort of think, years ago there was a couple of clips of him seeming like a bit of a dick. And I think he just is that awkward and uncomfortable a lot of the times when he's not trying to just act. That comes across in how he talks and when he's on about his own background and how he is with people. I think he knows that, and it kind of gives a little more context to how he comes over in different encounters. So I just think
press
that's
is part of the job, isn't it? But some people really don't like doing it, and I get the feeling he's one of them.
Yeah,
oh, I do. I think he loves it.
It is part of the job.
Because he never shuts up when he gets a chance. Please.
I know someone who did a little walk-on part in the film with Tommy Lee Jones, and I said, "Well, was he a nightmare? Was he a grumpy nightmare?" And I was like, "No, he's just the most delightful person when he's on a film set. You probably just don't want to be interviewing him ever,
unless you're Jim Carrey."
Well,
I mean, to be fair, wanting to kill Jim Carrey just seems to be. That's just part of the human condition, dude.
I just think it's interesting that the film was, about what it's about, and then the press he's done for this film. I think he's been more available to people as he tries to promote and get out there. Has made me think about how he has been in the past and sort of where that might stem from. But it was good. I recommend it, but not necessarily one to rush out for. I don't think it's necessarily quite as good as some of the praise it's been getting. But yeah, that was me.
Okay. I watched Alex Garland's Civil War. I'm doing my 2024 catch up still, end of the year. It's definitely his most accessible film, and it is the least, I would say, of his 4 films so far. I enjoyed it, but it's definitely the least of them. It's there's plenty of gnarly combat scenes, and there's a lot of Vietnam movie imagery throughout, but it's not a war film. It's really not. It's definitely a film about journalism. It's a film about the power and influence of journalism. And I've just got in my notes. I've just written rant ? To see if I want to just go on a rant about the damage we've done to journalism and how it's the largest chapter in the book of why we fuck everything up will be devoted to journalism, because it's the best of us and the absolute worst of us. And I wouldn't say Civil War gets into that, but it did bring that to mind. And yeah, it's just fucking sucks. Really good cast. I always love Kirsten Dunst. I'm always happy when she gets a good role. Kaylee Spaney, she's really good as well. Excellent. She's been excellent in everything I've seen her in. Wagner Moura, again, really good. Everything I've seen him in, he's really good. Stephen McKinley Henderson, also, every time he pops up, he's great. The central four characters, the central 4 actors are really, really good. It looks great. It's a great looking movie. It uses kind of war style photography really well. It uses it directly by showing the pictures that the characters take, but just in the way it's shot, in the lenses that are used and the action scenes, it just gives it that kind of authentic war photography style. There was lots that I liked about it, but it's conceptually ham-fisted, I think, and narratively heavy-handed. So Basically heavy hands clenched into fists and made of ham. That's my main issue with the film. So they can put that on the poster if there's still time. But it was solid enough. I was tense most of the way through it. Like, it wrung a great deal of tension out of the concept, but it's just not very interesting outside of just the statement that it's a shame journalism went the way of a dinosaur, which is true. It really, really does suck, but it would have been nice if the film could have said more than that. But it was okay. I know Kevin has seen it and wasn't keen because I saw his score on Letterboxd. Anyone else seen it?
I haven't yet, but I have it sitting right here. I just haven't watched it yet.
No, not yet.
I know that some people appreciated him not really sort of picking a side, as it were, but I did just want something like more. I don't know what the word is, but definitely a bit less ambiguous, maybe, and a bit.
I felt like he very much picked a side. Like, we're meant to be like behind the secessionists who want to kill the terrible president.
Well, yeah,
yeah, but I think he means that they don't really define either's ideology. That's what everybody's told
no,
me.
they really don't.
I mean, I think Craig nailed it with heavy ham hands, basically.
Yeah,
there's a lot of large hammy hands.
But to be fair, that's why I've put it off. I felt most of his stuff kind of misses the mark. I know folks love it, but for me, it doesn't hit. So when everybody describes it as like as Craig has, it just made me go, oh, well, we'll wait.
On the other hand, I can see why he's done that way, because as Craig said, it's about, it is about the journalism and looking at that kind of.
Yeah, but part of the problem with journalism is their obsession with not picking sides, with not seeing as biased.
That's
and
it.
If you can't address that in that movie,
yeah, there's a growing problem of let's also make sure we have this side.
It's not a growing problem. It's been
not everything has two sides.
At least in the States, it's been a thing since the 70s, where they will pull out, oh, the media is biased, and they kowtow to it, and they have forever, and it's one of the reasons why everything's fucking terrible. So if the man is making a movie about journalism and he can't even get to the base problem of modern journalism, I don't see the point.
Yeah, you're not going to like Civil War.
Yeah, well, I know. That's why I put it off.
But you like the cast because the cast is.
He always gets a great really cast. Good. I mean, he like what was his first one?
Ex Machina.
Yeah. Is it Vicar?
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She's amazing. The movie's trash, but she's fantastic. Because the movie's just dumb shit.
Very, very good. I mean, I like all of his films, but I don't love any of them, I don't think.
I think he goes after big targets that he doesn't get. Because, like, Ex Machina, people don't work that way. Our minds don't work that way. So a movie about our minds working that way and that being the base premise is flawed. A movie about journalism that doesn't discuss the main issue with journalism that's just me. He aims big, but he doesn't hit what he needs to hit.
I feel like Lee Wannell is making kind of similar films, but just not reaching as far, and therefore just doing a better job of,
Well, Lee hits what he's aiming at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. Like, The Invisible Man is spot on for what they're going for. Upgrade is spot on for what they're talking about. But, that's just me.
What else? I watched the Indian action movie Kill. Kill is the first 40 minutes of Kill is the greatest. It's the greatest red herring in the history of fucking cinema. Because I watched this film, just Indian people fighting on the train. It's a bit more exciting than that. But a guy tries to stop some bad guys on a train. They fight a lot for the first 40 minutes. I'm thinking, there's some good choreography here. It's quite crunchy. It's all right. I don't see why everyone is has been going apeshit over it, but it's fine. And then around 40 minutes, there's an inciting incident, and our hero looks seriously pissed off. And then you get the title drop at 40 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, I see what you've been doing. And then it's the rest of the film, and it's an hour and 10 minutes of this man going completely apeshit and just killing people in the most insane ways. Our hero full on irreversibles a guy with a fire extinguisher, just full on, just knives in the face, and just it's so brutal. It's delightful from that 40-minute title drop. It's really great, and it's really quite cheesy because I'd say like with the gore and the body count, it's very John Wick or Timo, you know. But tonally, this feels like a 90s Van Damme or Seagal effort. Like it's super cheesy. It's got lines like they'll get off this train for sure, but only for their funeral, which is just very very cheesy line, which I enjoyed. It's just it's just a lot of fun, and I love the fact that the villains are not particularly strong, you know, tough guys. There are just a lot of them. So there's a scene at about an hour and 15 where literally every one of the villains in this film, they're all in the same train carriage, and they're all crying. Like every single one of them is crying. They're like, oh my god, why do we have to keep fighting this man? This is awful. My dad's dead. My cousin's dead, because they're all family, and it's very funny, and it's very violent, and yes, it's a real treat. Just don't be put off if you put it on, and in the first 40 minutes, it's not giving you the goods, because it is going to give you the goods. It's going to give you the bloody goods. You like that, didn't you, Kevin?
Yeah. I think I mentioned that trailers often oversell things, and I thought this looked brutal and inventive. And I watched it, I was like, oh, it's brutal and inventive. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that one flips out. That one flips its wig in spectacular fashion. I really enjoyed it, and I love the fact that like the main villain is just wearing a nice sweater vest and just he's just some nice old well, he's not nice, he's horrible, but he's just this average kind of Indian man in a nice sweater vest, and suddenly he's having to fight like this what do they call him? He's a commando, and he's just butchering his entire family, and you can almost feel sorry for them. It's lots of fun. One more. I've been, you know, like I say, finishing my 2024 films. You know, trying to work out which is, you know, put together my top 10. So I've been looking for the best cinema of 2024, and I continued searching for that with Bad Boys Ride or Die. I get that they must have been disappointed that. Can you imagine, like, if you don't hold back the Bad Boys for Life subtitle for the fourth movie and put the number 4 in it? That must be really disappointing. But they get past that, and yeah, they made a really really fun movie, and it's a mess. It is a big mess, and most of the humor, as usual, is fucking awful. I mean, and Martin, what's his name? Martin Lawrence is terrible, but I had a really good time. Like it's more Michael Bay than Michael Bay. It goes completely nuts and takes several leaves out of the Fast and Furious playbook. It's got lots of extra characters in it this time. They've worked hard to redeem the villain of the previous film. It's very much a group effort. Insane action scenes, just ridiculous action scenes. It's got Rhea Seehorn, so that's just like lots of points for that. It's just a lot of fun, and you know what? I said the humor was awful, but I laughed a few times. There were just a few times where I got no laughs in the third film, even though I liked it. So the script was a little better than last time, and I like these directors. I think when these guys, if they get to make films with better scripts that they haven't written themselves, and they make some films with actors who can actually perform action, as well as they stage it and shoot it, because they stage and shoot the action really well, but they just don't have particularly capable stars because they're in the 50s. But I would totally watch a Bad Boys spin-off with Mike's son and what's his name, Reggie?
Oh, Reggie.
Reggie and Mike's son team up, go do some like mad John Wick shit, and just leave Will and Martin at home. And I mean, the best action scene, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are watching through like a CCTV screen. I'm like, yeah, they should just do that for the whole of the next movie. They should just watch other people who are better than action do the movie.
It's kind of wild that character was introduced some time ago. It's had this small arc, and then that was like genuinely one of the most fun moments I had in the cinema last year. Vicky and I were kind of just grinning gleefully and squeezing each other's hands tightly.
Yeah.
We're like, watch Reggie go.
That's the absolute highlight for me. But I like all of the extra characters as well. They're doing a real good job of creating this little ensemble. And I just... Well, anytime it's concentrating on Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, it's not as good as when they get the whole gang together and just butcher a bunch of people, because the action scenes are pretty sweet. Like I said, more Michael Bay than Michael Bay. Michael Bay probably watches these and thinks, "Fucking hell, I was a bit of an amateur." I know that hurt Tyler's soul, but
a little bit.
But yeah, that's me for the week.
Like, we're done hurting Tyler's soul this week. I didn't watch too much. You see, at one point during the week, I got these messages from Craig, like 40 minutes in, title drop. Oh my God. Look at this guy. He looks like he's about ready to buy 12-year-olds beer. So I watched Kill. Because he sold it. He's like immediately. Yeah. And yeah, Kill's good. You should see Kill. I don't want to spoil anything, so yeah, go watch Kill. It does take a while, but yeah, for like folks keep going, oh, these action movies are so intense. And I watch them, I go, yeah, okay, whatever, what the fuck ever. But yeah, this one was all as brutal and inventive as Kevin said.
And the main hero, he gets his shit rocked like consistently through that film. You're like, Jesus Christ, he would have been dead 15 minutes into this fucking movie. What have they've stabbed him 100 times, but
yeah, it's probably the most inventively violent torture the hero film I've seen that doesn't come from South Korea. I mean, they go hard. It is lean and mean and just sweaty and vicious. And seriously, the dude's athleticism is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Just insane. I was trying to remember who's the guy that was in Bug High. Have you seen that series?
No.
I'll think of his name later. Anyway. Oh, Tiger Shroff, I think. Anyway, he's another Indian actor who is he's a nepo baby Indian actor, but that dude's like physically is just one of the most crazy performers you can ever see. Like if I could see him and the dude from Kill in a movie, let's say Bad Boys, what are they up to? 5? Bad Boys 5, it would instantly be better. I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, that's a good one. I watched a film that you guys might be watching next week. You won't actually be watching it next week because we've already covered it on the show. Starring the subject of our special, Ugetsu. It is fantastic. And I watched two Japanese films. First, I watched The Last Sion Sono. I hadn't seen, despite issues with Sono, the Red Post on Escher Street. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but it was a solid postmodern comedy. And if you like weirdly sweet movies that are really satisfying, you should give this one a go. I dug it. And I watched one of my all-time favorites for the first time. I got to see it on the big screen. I got to see Battle Royale on the big screen, and I had a bit of an existential crisis. Because I remember when that movie came out, and I was the age of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
This week, sitting in the theater, I am the age of Takashi and Kitano, and I had problems with that.
Yeah.
I don't know where the years went, and I don't know how I ended up even more pathetic than Mr. Takashi in that movie.
Yeah, we didn't want to torture children, though, did you?
I mean, once or twice. Like, to be fair, there was a time or two where I thought I could torture a fucking child, but not like I wouldn't watch them kill each other for like multiple victims. But one or two, that's just growing pains, you know? Anyway, it still holds up. It's still a really solid film that makes some strong rhetorical points. One thing I didn't realize is how much a lot of the cast has gone on to other things. Just long-ass careers, especially in Japan. One or two of them have had multiple bridging the Pacific, but it's a good one. If you haven't seen it, why haven't you seen it? Go watch it. And kill.
I have it. When people ask for your happy place films, or films that cheer you up, I pick that one, and people think, well, that's a weird one, but I think
That's a
Battle
weird
Royale is a hugely optimistic film in my eyes. So I think about the Kinji Fukusaka.
Yeah.
I think about all that he has witnessed in his time in Japan since pre-war time, and from what I get from that film is that as long as there's youth, as long as there's like the ingenuity and the loyalty and the things that you find in youth, there's always hope. I feel like it's a really positive, optimistic film with lots of people dying horribly.
I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, I wouldn't use the term optimistic for other movies we watched this week, but reasonable. Yeah, so it's a good one, and the cast is strong uniformly. Some really fun action scenes. That I watched Battle Royale 2 also, which I hadn't actually seen since it was new. And you know what? I like Battle Royale 2.
Same.
It's big
the most
problem,
rabidly anti-American film ever made.
Which is a choice. Like, we can get into the politics of the film and how it kind of ignores a lot of things. But anyway, the problem with it is it comes after Battle Royale, and if you compare it to that, of course it's not going to work. But I think on its own, in a vacuum, it is a solid watch.
Agreed.
And yeah, and that was me for this week.
I only got one. I went to the theater and I saw Den of Thieves 2. I dug it. Not quite as much as the first. I love the first movie a lot. The first one, I mean, I think all you guys have seen the first one, but the first one feels like the 2018 take on Heat. And this still has that Michael Mann feel and vibe, except it's very European this time around. And it's a bit more somber with its pacing. It's super, super slow burn, but the final 45-minute heist is fucking great. Really, really good. Gerard Butler is great. Ice Cube's son is fine. It's solid stuff. And if you guys like the first at all, even a little bit, I say check it out. Just know going in, it feels totally different from the first film. Kind of like how Ocean's 12 felt compared to Ocean's 11. Just totally different vibe. But it's good stuff. And like I said, the last 45 minutes is exhilarating shit. It's good stuff. And I think you guys will dig it if you like the first at all. But that's me.
Oh, you know what? I remembered what I wanted to mention. Do you know one of the actors from Battle Royale is now a politician in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a member of their left-wing populist party. Yeah,
Battle Royale will do that to you.
it will. I mean, it's just one of those things where I think I knew it before, but like I got reminded of it this week, and I was like, I want to mention that on the show, and I forgot. And now I've mentioned it. This week, we watched the 1994 American horror film Tammy and the T-Rex, Gore Cut, and the 2016 road drama American Honey, also the Gore Cut. Craig, would you like to pick a movie and tell us about it?
Sure, I'll go with American Honey then. Yeah, I liked it. I came away from it, more positive than negative. I enjoyed it. I can definitely see why Tyler likes it. Apart from the Riley Keough in the Confederate flag bikini ness of it all, I can see why T likes it. I get the impression that Tyler, you like when someone takes some classic literature and then modernizes and Tylerifies it. Tyler.
It's a word now.
Tylerifies.
Tylerification.
Tylerification. Because I know you like modern Tylerish Shakespeare.
I do.
This gave me like a American Midwest Rust Belt kind of Oliver Twist. I mean, I assume I didn't pull that out of my arse. There's at least the characters, that connects and yeah, I liked it. I mean, I imagine that Oliver Twist is probably fertile ground for like modern retellings. I'm sure there are a lot of very, very awful films about poor people across the world that have been twisted into an Oliver Twist type shape. I feel like T probably has a VHS or something somewhere called like Oliver Twisted, starring the Insane Clown Posse. And I'm really glad we weren't watching that. So I had issues with American Honey, but I was glad that it wasn't Oliver Twisted, a film that I have made up whilst having nightmares about things that Tyler might do to us. It's not perfect. It is messy and it's sprawling and it has a lot on its mind. And perhaps I think it probably has a bit too much on its mind because I think Arnold is more interested in the setting and the themes of this film than she is in the characters. Because the character development is very thin for a 3-hour movie. Like, you can look into your themes and your setting, but if it's a 3-hour movie, the characters have got to be given some life as well. And they felt more like ciphers at times, if that makes sense. But they feel more like circumstances than fleshed out characters. I think the cast are left to fill in a lot of blanks, and I know that's kind of the deal because the whole thing feels quite loose and collaborative. So I think Arnold was quite happy for them to put the characters together themselves and maybe not have a lot on the page. And I do get that. That's how these sort of collaborations work, but it was still thin. Like, there wasn't enough in this 3-hour film to really have me invested in the characters. And it's a shame because I think the performances are very good. I just don't think Arnold puts enough background on the page for them to work from. I don't think it's the fault of the actors. I really don't. I think, especially like Sasha Lane's very good, but it's her first movie. You can't kind of leave her all at sea like that, which I feel like that's what Arnold did. And I keep calling her Arnold, and it makes her sound like some old dude. But Andrea Arnold, she puts a lot of faith in her cast, and they do their best. But I feel like she could have done more. And I think the themes are interesting. Like, there's some interesting stuff in there. There's stuff about freedom, just as a concept. What it costs, what its limitations are. There's some really good stuff about like the commodification of poverty and of community, and the real trickle down economics, which isn't what it was ever meant to be. Trickle down economics just means extra layers of exploitation trickling down. There's some good stuff. There's some good you know picking the bones of the American dream kind of stuff that feels more relevant each passing year. Like the themes and the setting work. They just the characters let it down, I think. But like I said, I think the cast do really well. I think Sasha Lane, her first screen performance is really confident and she's very naturally emotive. There's a real vulnerability there which really works. I mean, the character is. I think the character is the most in need of the Lost in Space robot in the history of cinema. She needs to be followed by a giant robot going, danger, danger, Sasha Lane, danger. But that's all you'd hear throughout the entire film. The risk she takes kind of pushed me to the edge of like losing some sympathy for her. But I do think the film recognizes that there can be as much agency in making bad choices or even self-destruction if you never had much agency before. But then again, you could also be suggested she still doesn't have a lot of agency. I don't know. I think she does her best. I don't know how well written the character is. I think Shia LaBeouf is great. He's quite an awful person. I know it's frustrating because everyone's so problematic now. Like you worry. I worry about praising someone who is a piece of shit. But I'm just gonna talk about the performance. I think he's very good here. I think it is his best performance, and it just plays to his strengths. He's got that kind of boyish charm and this chaotic, unpredictable side that are just perfect for this film. I think if you're looking for an American 21st century Artful Dodger type, I can't really think of many better actors for that role. It's just perfect casting and a great performance. And I like all the non-actors as well. All the non-actors who are along for the ride, they all feel very authentic, even if they're not fleshed out. Beautifully shot. It is really gorgeous film. Arnold really, she leans heavily on those close-ups of her actors' faces, like there's nowhere to hide, and they do well with that. And there's lots of really beautiful like location photography, lots of great dusk and dawn photography, great choices of location. It's all framed in that kind of claustrophobic 4:3 aspect ratio. That's really it's a really good looking film. The soundtrack's really effective. Like I would never listen to the music in this film. I this is never. It's bargain basement like hip hop and R&B, but it's used effectively. The way it's used to sell a lifestyle, to continuously like point at a life just out of reach for the characters, it works. I did like this film. Like I think Lane and LaBeouf do some seriously heavy lifting, which makes it work overall. I just think like it's a 3-hour film. You gotta push the characters as hard as you push the themes. And by the end, I didn't really feel like I knew any of these characters. Like I really knew them, which kept me shy of loving the film. And I sort of get it in a way because Sasha Lane is a character her character doesn't really know herself, and she's really only coming to have this agency and this to know herself towards the end of the film. But it just it kept me at a distance. So I liked it. I just wish I liked it more.
Well, I'm going to disagree with Craig. I did not like it,
Naturally.
and I will say why. I think Andrea Arnold is a hell of a talent. I really like most of her other work. Cow is solid. Red Road is excellent. We did that a few years ago. Yeah. It's excellent. Fish Tank is fantastic. Her short film Wasp is solid. Like, I like most of her work. American Bird is really fucking good. This is the one that kind of stands against the rest. It's a 3-hour character study that forgets to make them characters. Yeah, it's leaning in on the themes, but if we spend 3 hours with someone who has no point of view and no personality and no arc and no anything, I agree. I think Lane is fantastic with what she is given, and she tries her best to bring it. I agree. LaBeouf does, it's his best performance. I kind of disagree with how much you enjoy him in it. He's just kind of there. I get what they're going for, but again, and this is part of the problem. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything. They set up, like, when something finally one thing happens at the very end, and then it's just immediately just it's not happened anymore, and there's no comment on it. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. It just happens, and okay, fine, and now the movie's over. And that's my problem. It's just, I have no problem with a film about wandering around and living this life and trying to sell the magazines, but then we need a character, and we don't ever have that. I think that the secondary girl with the most lines is Pagan, who's played by oh crap, I just totally brain for it. I have it written down. I can't find it. Ariel Holmes, who was in the Safredi brothers movie, Heaven Knows What. And like she has one personality trait, and they keep going back to it because, again, I think Arnold just kind of tossed her into the deep end, because that's how all these kids are, if they even have that much. Some of them don't even have that much, and that's kind of a problem when you're spending 3 hours with people. Honey gets, like Craig said, Honey gets into some terrible situations, but like they should be terrible, but she's never, except for maybe the oil field, nothing happens to her. It's a weird drifting through void, which maybe if they were making more of a point about something, yeah, but it just seems like they had an idea about showing some sections of Americana in a certain group, and then they didn't go further than that. It's decently shot, but it wastes most of the cast. Riley Keough is absolutely wasted in this film. I feel LaBeouf is kind of wasted too, because again, his character is kind of nothing. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know anything about him at the end, except he's a prick. He's a prick who thinks he's smoother than he is. Honey, Star, 3 hours we spend with Star, and I know nothing about her. I know that she wants to buy a trailer, and that's it. And that's ultimately the film's problem. It's a fine idea. It just it goes nowhere. It does nothing. And I'm not saying it has to go somewhere and do something. I need a reason to connect, and it doesn't give me even that. It's just a weird drift through not much that makes eyes at bigger things. But it just feels like it's safe to just make eyes at it without going for anything.
Yeah, I quite like the ending with LaBeouf, because the reason he comes back is the same reason he's got that bag full of stuff that he's stolen. Like, he's not going to sell it. He's not going to go chasing his dream, because
but he'd never be allowed back in that crew.
And he needs the community. That's what they all need. You know, it's the one thing that they've all got. The one thing they can have. It just involves this shitty job. because,
But
like I said about the commodification
if
of
they pass
community.
him, and that would make sense if they pass him in another one, because they set up having another crew. But I don't buy that he'd ever be allowed back into that after what happened.
Oh, you mean when he does come back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
he
yeah.
doesn't even say anything. Like, if it's the breaking of her, like, if the whole movie is about her, learning or dealing with this obsession that she has with him, which she does have, and then it ends with it being broken, why the fuck does he come? Like, what's the rhetorical point of that? He comes back and he doesn't say anything. It doesn't mean anything. I think that's my problem with it. I mean, I get that he'd still be in that job. Yeah, of course he would. But he's just sitting in a van. When in the previous scene, it was just about how he's gone and not coming back.
I think you were both quite nice about this. I'm sorry, Tyler. I just really didn't like this. I think Arnold is. I think Red Road's probably still her best. I did really like Cow. Dave, did you say Wasp? The short film.
Yeah, I did. I think I did. I meant to.
Or maybe you just mentioned Bird. Like her short films, Wasp and Dog are really good. I was underwhelmed by Bird for reasons that I mentioned last week. But like I've got difficulty pinpointing exactly what my problem with this is without seeming a bit hypocritical. So, like Tyler, you watched Gasoline Rainbow by now, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you really liked that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, yeah, it's a Tyler film. And this, in a way, there's a vibe to this that's similar to that. But I think for me, Arnold, I think a lot of the time she feels like one of those touristy artists who's there. She never feels like a genuine part of the community or the sections of society that she's trying to show. Apart from when she nails it in the shorts, I think, in that documentary. When it's this, even to a degree, I mean, I like Fish Tank, but that still wasn't as good as Red Road. I said I didn't like Bird as much as many people, and I really didn't like this. And maybe it's because it is in America that it feels like Arnold isn't best placed to effectively show whatever she's trying to show here, because I get the community aspect and the family thing. I get picking this section, these people who go for magazine subscriptions as a job, sort of door to door, try to do that. But I don't know, it never feels like she has any real interest in them and any real connection. So there's nothing major to be said. And then the other part that I have a big problem with, I know that we always say, if there's a racist character in a movie, it doesn't make the movie racist. And you can have films with unlikable characters. But compared to, say, like Anora, which we just watched recently, I started really disliking the characters in this when they just, from the start, they were just being dishonest about the transactions. And they were really just out to sort of grab extra bits and thieve when they could. I mean, whether as a character or in real life, I probably wouldn't let Shia LaBeouf into my house anyway. So that didn't ring true when he's going about the star. The whole thing about like getting the subscriptions and then just like later on some guys get ripped off with the cash in it, and I'm sitting there thinking she made the deal, she made the money. Again, LaBeouf's just being an asshole, an idiot, and that's his character. But every transaction that goes right or felt like more satisfying was the one that was kind of honest. Like, even when you think Star is in danger towards the end of the movie, she is making a decision that she thinks, well, I'm not good at doing this with the magazines, but, I'll keep this guy company for a while and, make some money. And that feels like that was at least an honest moment between two people, with someone saying, I'll do this, I'll do that. And there are some spoilers in this conversation, because again, that to me, just that could have been an interesting moment that is then ruined by LaBeouf appearing again and taking that guy out. It's like, right, he didn't. It was a strange development of the scene, but as far as I'm aware, he made transactional offers, and then she was like, yeah, I'll do this, I won't do that, I'll do this, and made her deals and came away with like a good bit of money. And he'd got what he wanted, she'd got what she wanted. He goes away, Shia LaBeouf appears, asshole, let's attack this person who's been, for all intents and purposes, a customer. I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I thought it was going to be about Sasha Lane's character finding out that, she's not good at this, but she can do this, but she needs to wrestle with where her own boundaries are and what she's wanting to do and what life she either wants to settle for or can really claw and grab at. And ultimately, it was about her joining a group of people who, whether it was all of them or just LaBeouf always popping up, would end up, even if they got something, then try to grab something else that they didn't even try to work for. And when I say work for, I mean like keeping up the act, putting on a bit of charm, making a sale. So I just, like, I didn't like any of the characters because that was at the heart of it. And there was a dishonesty at the heart of it. There's a dishonesty between like Arnold, the director, and then the cast and the story she's telling, for me. And then there was a dishonesty at the heart of all of the characters, because I can't think of any of the transactions that were just a genuine, straightforward, we're doing this. Yes, I'm selling myself to you in a way, because we know this is a bit of a scam, but here's the thing I'm doing. And then somebody responding, okay, blah, blah, blah. There was a little montage where it perked up a little bit in the first, I think, 45 minutes or an hour. But other than that, the rest was just a case of, oh, I've got something from you, I want to take more. And yes, I'll take more, and I'll take more. So that's it. Didn't work for me. Doesn't interest me. That even put me off the any appreciation I might have had for the shooting style. It was okay when they were dancing and singing along to Rihanna. That was about it. Like, I can honestly say I didn't hate it, and it wasn't a painful watch, but Jesus Christ, I wanted this thing to end, and I was at about an hour and 20 minutes. And then that wasn't even halfway. So your ears
Why did
might
you
have been
choose
burning
it then,
against
Kevin? Why did you subject us to it, Kevin? No, look, I was subjected. You knew what would happen.
No, I didn't. I didn't think this would come up yet. Immediately, I knew it was coming at some point. We all knew it was coming at some point.
You
I
encouraged him.
I didn't think he'd do the old switcheroo after I just watched Bird. I didn't even. I can't say that I liked LaBeouf on this, or like Sasha Lane is quite a decent screen presence, but there was just too much putting me off with the other aspects of this. So that's ultimately like where I landed. It was just like, right, everything's put me off, and I've got to stay with these characters until the end credits come and show me mercy. So, sorry, T. I like it. It's not it's not the worst. I think Arnold's worst is still that Wuthering Heights that she did. Not a fan of that. But this would probably be, for me, the second worst that she's done. And I know a lot of other people really praised this as well and really loved it. Just, no, not for me at all.
I mean, yeah, Kevin mentioned this last week or not. This was coming anyway, but I just kind of bumped it up to the top quicker than normal. But following up a Sean Baker movie with Andrea Arnold is like perfect for me. Both are two of my favorite working filmmakers right now. Both make movies about people that usually don't get the spotlight in cinema very often. More so now than ever. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. This movie got like a really super small release back when it came out. I mean, barely anything at all here. I drove like 2.5 hours out of my way just to see this in the theater because I was fucking determined to see an Andrea Arnold movie in the theater. And I love American Honey a lot. I love its free-flowing, almost documentary style narrative. Its realistic reflection of poverty and youth, the handheld camera work, the fucking amazing soundtrack. I want this soundtrack on vinyl so fucking bad. One of my favorite songs in the movie is Sam Hunt's Take Your Time. I adore that song. I love it. And it's used in like the most gut-wrenching scene in the entire movie involving Star and her redneck stepfather. But yeah, just every single time I rewatch this movie, though, I just get submerged into the world of these people. I could easily watch these people drive around in that van listening to music for 3 hours. 3 more hours, actually. And to quote the kids of today, I just vibe with that shit so hard. And I love it. I think the cast is amazing. Sasha Lane is excellent. And it's amazing that she's never acted before this film. She's wonderful in it. She's wonderful in this movie. I think she was in the new, not the newest Hellboy, but the one right before this, right? Wasn't she Hellboy's partner in the Neil Marshall one? I thought so. She's like the most memorable thing in that movie, in my opinion. But yeah, Shia LaBeouf is fantastic. And this is one of his very best performances to date, in my opinion. This and the Peanut Butter Falcon, which is also great. I love the Peanut Butter Falcon. I really like Shia as an actor. From Holes on, he's always been solid, in my honest opinion. Riley Keough, I love her, which I'm sure you guys already know. She's like the fucking queen of white trash cinema. We've watched Dixieland. We watched Zola. I love her a lot, dearly. I'm not saying I would make out with Elvis Presley's corpse just to see her, but I might.
But you would.
I would.
You would.
I fucking would. And I'm not just saying I love her because we get to see her rub down with lotion while wearing a rebel flag bikini, but maybe, who knows? I'll keep that to myself. But the movie, I mean, it's a sprawling, poetic, symbolic road epic that's like almost 3 hours. It's not for everybody, and I totally get that. 100%. I fully understand why somebody wouldn't like this movie. But my God, I think it's absolutely fucking beautiful. Every single frame of this film. It's my personal favorite Andrea Arnold movie to date. And I've loved everything she's done. I haven't seen Cow, but I've seen everything else she's done. But American Honey is my absolute favorite. I adore it.
I've got to say to you, I know you'll disagree with this. This is just my perception. I think a big difference for me, whether I like or dislike Sean Baker movies, I feel that he shows people in a way where he's not. I don't feel he's being patronizing, and he's not sort of. There's not this feeling of maintaining a distance. Like he's right in there and close, and feels like he's behind the camera, but he feels like he's fully blended in. For me, Arnold never quite gets that. I say, apart from Red Road, which was away from the more natural style that she's since been developing. I think that's worked against her because I always imagine her kind of keeping herself in a hazmat suit in a plexiglass booth separate from everyone she's filming. Do you know what I mean?
I get that.
That's how I view them. I know you like them both and possibly like them both equally, but that's my big difference. There are Sean Baker films that I dislike, but I can still dislike them and think, yeah, he really goes in with I think with more empathy and seems to. I think he feels like he knows more about the world he's diving into.
Oh no, I definitely agree. Sean Baker, I think, truly loves his characters. Like, I think he loves Honora. I think he loves Starlet. I think he loves every character that he writes, and it's the reason why I love his movies so much.
Speaking of love,
Tammy and the T-Rex. Tammy is a cheerleader who's dating football player Michael. They're a new couple. Unfortunately, Tammy's ex, Billy, is not fond of that. So eventually, Billy kidnaps Michael and drops him off at a big... How the fuck does he get into a big cat preserve? I don't know. You don't know. And that ends with Michael being in a coma despite apparently not having any damage. While in his coma, Michael is kidnapped by Dr. Wachinstein and his assistant Helga. Michael's brain is then placed inside a robotic dinosaur. Soon, Michael the T-Rex escapes.
It's maybe the highlight of my year already. Just having you have to summarize this. Sorry.
And T-Rex Michael not only rekindles his relationship with Tammy, he begins to start a new life, removing all obstacles from his old one.
I'm so happy Dave summarized this because mine would have been fucking awful. So.
Oh, if I had to summarize it, I would have just said a T-Rex uses a payphone now.
T-Rex does use a payphone. I adore Tammy and the T-Rex. I don't give a fuck. It is well, I will say it is Paul Walker's best performance. Fortunately, he's only there for 10 minutes before he's dead and gone, mauled by a cat. Denise Richards is adorable as Tammy. I really like Theo Forsett as Byron Black, her best buddy. Terry Kaiser, who Terry has been in so many things. Best known as Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. He plays the insane doctor, and he's a lot of fun. Ellen Dubin is his assistant. Ellen Dubin, she has one hell of a filmography. If you were ever curious who voices random people in random games and stuff, it's probably her. She has been in so much shit. It's kind of funny, honestly. She's also a narrator at a bunch of Disney light shows. Sean Whalen pops up. Good old Sean Whalen. And it's just good old fashioned fun. I like that they got their hands on an animatronic T-Rex and they went, let's make a fucking movie. We have it for 2 weeks. And they did it. And now I don't think it's all perfect. I think the cops are pretty terrible. One of them had a heart attack on set while filming, and it's almost a shame that they didn't just cut them out of the movie after that, because they're awful. They're not funny. They're just icky, sexist, racist, 90s awful. They're awful. But the rest of it, I think it's adorable. I enjoy the shit out of it. All locations were within 25 minutes of the director's house, because that is how I think most people should make movies if they're making movies.
Neil Breen does. He never goes further than his own garage.
That's not true. On his last one, he went to like a place with a big green screen that could never fit in his garage.
Okay.
To be fair, I mean, you know. Anyway, it's fun. That's it. It's just fun. There's some solid cameos. J.J. Saunders is Byron's dad, the sheriff. Jeff Goff is Michael's uncle, and now these guys popped up in tons of shit for like 50 years. So it's just, nice to see him. Efren Ramirez is the pizza boy. Efren Ramirez is probably best known for being in Napoleon Dynamite. But again, he's one of those guys who's just been in. I mean, he's in Gamer and Crank High Voltage. He's been in a ton of movies Tyler's made us watch.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those guys that pops up and he's always fun when he shows up. So it's just one of those movies. It's a good time. I enjoyed the shit out of it. I always enjoy the shit out of it. It's why I own it. And I'm so glad that I was finally given a reason to crack open my Blu-ray. Thank you.
Do you want to go, T?
I can. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't really have much to say about this one. I really don't get movies like this. I really don't. I don't know why I own this on VHS, because I do. I don't get why anyone put this on Blu-ray for public consumption. But same people who love Tammy and the T-Rex might not understand why I love American Honey so much, or why I bought the Marfa Girl Blu-ray set with the collectible slipcover. So who am I to judge?
I mean, to be fair, the people that don't understand that are the ones talking to you right now.
Exactly. I think this movie is hot garbage. It was garbage when it was PG-13, and I watched it on VHS in the 90s, and it's garbage now with the gore thrown in, which kind of surprises me, because it does have that like goofy 90s teen romance charm that I should love. Like, I like the cast. I like Paul Walker. I like Denise Richards. And to be fair, I think both are fine here. Richards, especially. She's fucking adorable. But I just find the whole movie really boring and just borderline insufferable. And I don't know why. Like, I hate it. Even the added gore is fucking boring. It added nothing. Just the T-Rex animatronic looks awful. And I know that's the point, but still, it looks awful. This director made fucking Mac and Me, and somehow it's better than this, which actually makes me nauseous saying those words, because Mac and Me is fucking atrocious, but at least it has that hysterical wheelchair scene. This is just dull shit. Just, yeah, I'm not a fan of this movie. When Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park said that's one big pile of shit, I think he saw in the future and watched this movie and was talking about Tammy and the T-Rex. I hate this movie, but I'm not the audience for it. I don't, like I said, I don't like these schlocky, purposely bad movies. I don't get it personally, but other people do, and that's cool.
I am one of those people. I enjoyed this enormously. This is special. It's a special film. Like, of the two films we watched this week, I didn't think this would be the one that played on my mind afterwards. But it did. It planted two very, very, very clear concepts in my mind. First one, you know Fast and the Furious 7, how it ends? With Paul Walker and Vin Diesel in the cars going their separate ways. All I can see is that scene, but instead of Paul Walker, the dinosaur, and then instead of Vin Diesel, either Tammy, Byron, Dr. Wachinstein, or Tyler, whichever's the funniest.
Oh, that's tough.
I need to see all the variations and decide which is the funniest. But the other concept, and this is so clear in my mind, the other concept is a cartoon. Because this is already a cartoon. The vibe of this is 100% Saturday morning cartoon. From concept to character, like every character I can see the cartoon equivalent in the little like 20-minute Saturday morning cartoon. I can see it so clearly, and that's its vibe. Like the dinosaur lifting up the hand mirror to just have a look at its face, to check that it's a dinosaur. Dusting Byron off after knocking him over when he's stealthily watching his own funeral and crying. This whole thing, it's a cartoon. It's live action, but it is a cartoon, and there was no ironic enjoyment from me. Every part of this that worked, it was intentional. Everything that worked was intentional. Like, I think if this was animated, if this cartoon I want existed and it was like 20 minutes, like you could watch 3 episodes of it, an hour and a half worth, And I think a lot of people's concerns about this would vanish if it was a cartoon instead of live action, because the vibe's just there. Like I know the whole thing kind of hangs on the availability of that animatronic dinosaur, so obviously it was never going to be a cartoon. But I think people could love this cartoon that I've conjured in my mind, but I need desperately.
What's
I can
funny,
see every character, damn it, everyone.
if it was animated, it wouldn't change Tyler's opinion at all.
Well, probably
He'd feel
not, probably
exactly the same about it.
It's true.
I mean, I really like the cast. I really like the whole cast. Like, Richards is underrated. Like, she does not get enough credit. She is a really good comic actress. Drop Dead Gorgeous, Starship Troopers, Wild Things. She's really, really good, and she knows how to play things. And this one, she plays this one perfectly. She's like 80% earnest, 20% aware, and it's exactly what this film needs, and she nails it. I think sometimes attractive actresses just don't get any credit, even when maybe they do. Maybe they get miscast, and then people are down on them. Like Heather Graham. I think Heather Graham's great in a couple of things, but she never gets any respect. Megan Fox was fucking fantastic in Jennifer's Body, but she gets nothing but shit. I don't know what. I don't know why. It sucks. Sometimes these actresses are good. Come on, just let them be good, damn it. Theo Fawcett, he was very funny. I really liked him. I feel that character was quite ahead of its time. Terry Kaiser, are we going with Kaiser?
That's what I went with.
Terry Kaiser. I love Terry Kaiser. Best cinematic corpse of all time, obviously, but also the best Friday the 13th villain. I might even include Jason in that. He's a fantastic secondary villain in Dave's favourite Friday the 13th film.
Jason versus Carrie, baby.
Jason versus Carrie. He's fantastic in that. And he hams it up like fucking crazy in this. Like he earns his paycheck several times over. And he's got such a natural villain vibe. But you know what? This film was kept putting concepts in my mind. But if they had done an Addams Family in the 80s before the 90s revival, he would have been a fantastic Gomez. Like he was was born for that. He would have been really, really fantastic. But strangely enough, 90s Cousin It's in this, isn't he? John Franklin.
He is.
Yep, John Franklin's really good. Sean Whalen's really good. And then Dubin's really good. Just no one is embarrassed in this film. Mate, you can argue that they should be, but they're not. They're not ashamed. But they all have a job to do, and they're delivering everything that the film needs. And it's just, I love it. Like the gore is squelchy. You can't really credit the filmmakers because it already existed, but the dinosaur's pretty cool. The soundtrack is really, really good. The script is good. Like it knows what it is, and it's genuinely amusing. Like as I said earlier, like every aspect of this that I enjoy is deliberate. I'm enjoying it on its own merits, and it hits
Did it
every
take you
target
that
it
long
goes
to think of
for.
the word merit?
No, I was trying to think of a different word, and it was
okay.
not coming. So I went with merit. My stroke. It's got worse since I had my stroke, but my brain. One thing it does is if I've got a word in mind, when I come to use it, just goes, and I cannot. I could spend 20 minutes trying to remember this word I had.
Dude, you have an excuse. That's just me. That's just Thursday.
Yeah. My stupid brain. But yeah, this is. Sorry, carry on.
I love the scene in the morgue. I meant to say that, and since I had a moment, I thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, jump in there. This is very, very fun, and what I like most about it is that it's the little film that could, like 30 years later, after I don't know where this interference came from that saw it like put out as a PG, rom-com, and saw it fail and deemed a failure for 30 years straight. The fact that it has now been re-released and it is finding its audience and people are digging it, I like that. That's just nice. I think this is a good film. I don't think this is a so bad it's good film. I just think it is good, and I enjoy it, and I want that cartoon, and I want somebody to go and do my Fast and the Furious 7 endings as well, please, with the dinosaur. But yeah, Tammy and the T-Rex is a good motion picture.
Wow. See, if you just want to mute your mic for 5 minutes or so we don't hear you crying, that's absolutely fine. Because I know you'll just be like, you'll be sitting there be like, I brought those guys American honey, and they're loving Tammy and the fucking T-Rex. My reason for bringing this to the podcast at last was I've owned it for too long without diving into it. And also, and Dave may like this, we don't often sort of mention other podcasts to shit on them. But did you know that Stephen Baldwin has a podcast, Dave?
Stephen Baldwin?
Dave, are you there?
The worst Baldwin?
Yeah.
That bastard.
Yeah. So he's got a podcast that he's done about, I don't know, a dozen episodes. So it's one of those people, he's obviously like, oh, people are doing podcasts, I'll do a podcast, and then can't maintain it for more than like 2 months. But he's got some episodes, and it's called One Bad Movie with Stephen Baldwin. And Denise Richards was on it. So her pick was Tammy and the T-Rex. Now, in fairness to her, she was also quite self-deprecating and being like, I've done lots of bad movies, but I'll go with this one. But this means I can now tell you that Stephen Baldwin's podcast is atrocious. Like, if you think he's annoying in films, you should hear his podcast, and we should all send a link to Dave to just drive him crazy. But also, Denise Richards was on about this and going on about, I think it was her first film role, but she was describing it. It was wild, and while it was filming, I think there was also quite a big fire somewhere. So she's getting ready to do scenes, and she's like, yeah, there's a lot of smoke over there. She would do it, and they're just really wanting to get the film done. Hopefully not as big a fire, but it's quite timely that this was a film going on with a fire raging, and Richards just doing the best she could. IMDb is wild because, did you guys read the trivia on this?
Yes.
For the benefit of anyone who doesn't want to look up, I'll say this bit. The end has Denise Richards dancing provocatively to a bodiless but still talkative Paul Walker on a portable camera hooked to a computer. As of 2024, Denise Richards works as a webcam model on OnlyFans, and Paul Walker is deceased, but his voice is still used in movies and video games. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Who's like, well, people dismiss Tammy and the T-Rex, but it is the Nostradamus of giant T-Rex. So I put this on, and I expected general silliness, and it's one of many movies that I'll watch and then jokingly say to Vicky, you want to watch Tammy and the T-Rex with me? And she was like, no, I will never want to watch that. And it was silly. Paul Walker, I mean, he's giving quite a wardrobe choice in the opening scenes. And I was amused. Like, I think I was most amused by the time they did go into the big animal preservation area with no gates and just somewhere near a city that you can just drive in, and there's like lions and panthers and everything just going around enjoying themselves, but no gates, because why would you need such a basic security measure at a giant animal preserve?
Everybody knows about the wild cats of California.
Yeah, I suppose
they're always stealing babies and shit.
But like this, definitely it goes up a notch when the T-Rex is there, and I did really enjoy it because yes, I think like they know what they're doing. They know they're trying to make something silly and fun with the gore dotted about, and I think they managed that. I'd actually forgotten about the scene that Craig mentioned, and I laughed out loud when it happened when they're doing the funeral and the T-Rex is peeking between the trees to watch his own funeral. I was like, that's the weirdest Final Destination supercar I've seen in my life. I thought it was really good. Yes, Denise Richards is she's fun and likable in the main role. Theo Forsett is a lot of fun. I was about to mention Kaiser's fine Friday the 13th work, so I'm glad Craig beat me to that as well because he's a great villain in that. Him and Ellen Dubin are just really, really good here. It's all over the top silliness, and again, I properly laughed loud watching a T-Rex try and use a payphone. I'm waiting for the woman that's on the payphone and then taking over. And then just appearing in different places with that couple at the petrol station. Be like, oh, let's take a photo. And then it roars and scares them off. I thought it was really, really fun and funny in a way that's, well, I'm not going to say give this to the comedy connoisseur in your life. Like, it's not anything too smart or sophisticated, but it's aiming to be silly and it's aiming to be enjoyable, and it works. And then the gore gags, they're okay. They're splashed around enough to add to the fun. I mean, it's wild when the cops are investigating that scene. Doesn't one at one point say something about the women still being like quite good looking, where he's holding a leg?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like,
Yes.
they're just throwing all these kind of gags around, but it's
That
absolute.
flattened guy where Ellen Dubin sort of rolls him up.
Rolls
Like-
him up,
like a little
carries him
rug.
outside.
Yes.
Fucking love it.
Like, there's the stupid gags, there's the quite dark gags, and there's obviously just the amusement of seeing a T-Rex going about trying to be human. I mean, especially when it basically does charades to try and get Denise Richards to understand the situation. And I don't know if anyone listening to us has forgotten what a T-Rex is like, but they don't have the largest arms and hands to be doing charades. So it's kind of a disadvantage. It has to work hard. Yeah, she is. I thought this was much better than I expected it to be. I would never put it on any list of 100 great movies you should see or anything like that, but it's at every turn it knows that it's aiming to be fun and silly, even when that's Doctor. How do you pronounce his surname? Was it Wachinstein?
Yeah.
I forgot to say it in the movie already.
Wachinstein.
Walking into a hospital, smoking his cigarette, and then kind of wiggling his eyebrows, being like, yes, this young man is definitely dead. We did all we could. And just get ready to unleash his T-Rex plan. I thought it was great. I actually went a little bit green around the gills when the guy was putting his pizza scraps into the top of a skull that was used as a bowl. As it's quite, Tyler will hate it, but he can't deny it's quite unique. I can't think of anything quite like it, and I mean that as a compliment, and I know people can just as easily use that as a condemnation of the film. But I had way more fun with it than I expected to, and I'm sorry, T. I knew you'd still want me to be won over by American Honey, but I was like, this T-Rex is so much fun.
It's time to pick one. I'm going to ask Tyler to go first just because, well...
I am going with Janice Richards flicking the bean on OnlyFans. But no, I'm going with American Honey.
I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to go with Tammy and the T-Rex.
I mean, I'm going with Tammy and the T-Rex, and any sensible podcast would have given it the sweep, but I knew it wasn't to be.
I'm a little more torn because I'm tempted by American Honey just because I want to give it to Sasha Lane just alone because she's so good and it feels cruel to go. I can't fault. I literally cannot fault Tammy and the T-Rex, and I can fault American Honey. So it is going to be Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yay!
I hope you still love me, Tyler. I still love you.
It's all good.
He's just a little frustrated.
He's just like, what the fuck just happened?
It's a little Twilight Zone-y, but fuck it.
Think how great you would be to do the edging to Tammy and the T-Rex, because that lines up really well. You can wait until Paul Walker's brain comes, let it all go. Works out perfectly.
Next week, we're saying goodbye to January with a tribute look at the films of the wonderful Tetsuya Nakadai. So far, Kevin picked
Return from the River Kwai.
and Craig picked
Sword of Doom.
What are you bringing, Tyler?
I don't know how to pronounce mine. If I'm pronouncing it right, I don't know. I think it's called Animasa. I think that's what it's called, but it's a 2-hour and 26-minute Yakuza melodrama.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's been a while since I've seen it. The problem with Nakadai is he's made so many excellent films. There's the Human Condition trilogy. There's his works with Kurosawa. He's in both Yojimbo and Sanjiro.
Just get on with it, you shit.
I couldn't pick, so I asked Craig to pick a number between 1 and 2 because I narrowed it down, and he's been in suspense for hours now. So I have to tell him that we're gonna watch Harakiri.
Oh,
because there was no number 2. It was just gonna be Harakiri because you can't watch Nakadai without doing Harakiri.
You can't.
I mean, except if you're Kevin and you pick the sequel to Bridge on the River Kwai for some reason, but whatever. Yeah, it's his choice.
That should be a sweep, and I'm not even mad about it.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the greatest films ever made.
He's got a lot in his list, though. I mean, Kwai Don's there, and that's it's a tough.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm going to put money on the fact that none of us have yet watched Return from the River Kwai. So
no,
just
you've
hold your
not
horses
yet watched Return on the River Kwai. I've seen that film. I know exactly what I'm getting into.
Oh, well, I look forward to the sweep for myself.
Alex Guinness's brain is put into a T-Rex.
There's some levels of denial that even I can't. Like, I occasionally have some deep denial. Just a couple weeks ago, I had some deep denial. But that one, man, that's just too far. Yeah. Onimasa is actually, just for the record, that's actually part of a series.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I don't know if it's... Or no. It's part of a series of films he made with Hideo Gosha, like, back to back to back. There's like 4 of them. It's
nice.
Bandits vs. the Samurai Squad, Hunter in the Dark, Onimusha, Fireflies. They're all good. Like, it'd be really hard to pick 4 bad movies for this special. I mean, Kevin did his damnedest, but it'd be really hard.
I would say like Harakiri for the sweep, but I'm just remembering just how unpleasant his Sword of Doom character is, and how much Tyler's gonna
Yeah, I mean,
enjoy that.
it's. I think it's gonna be tight. I do. It's gonna be tight between two. I think. I'm not gonna say which two.
We will see.
We're on Instagram, Raiders_of_the_ podcast. We're on Facebook, where I sometimes remember to post stuff on Wednesdays, sometimes Thursday, sometimes Friday. We have a YouTube channel where you can like, subscribe, and comment on Kevin's awesome videos weekly. We have a Discord. We have a Blue Sky. Only thing we don't have is a Spank Bank account, or you can find me on Instagram Live crying because Tammy the T-Rex somehow won against Andrea Arnold.
Well done.
But
When he said T give him the business, I thought you were just going to say no. Fuck you. You give them the business.
T'd never
You
say no to
always
giving
go-
people the business.
Nah, I don't mind giving the business, even though I'm going to cry on Instagram Live. But hey, it's all right.
That's okay.
And you can always email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm sorry, T, but the right movie won this week. I'll talk to you next week.
Yep. See you next
See
week,
ya.
guys.
See ya.